So when I eventually relocated my family to Florida in 2021 with the understanding that I was going to be working child pornography investigations, and then subsequently was told that those were no longer a priority and I needed to focus on domestic terrorism, aka January 6th, I brought that background with me and looked at the cases and the way that they were being handled and immediately realized that the FBI is departing from its rules with regard to the case management. And my initial concern was essentially, if we go to trial, I want to win if it's a righteous case. And so regardless of the politics of it or what you think happened that day, if the Department of Justice brings charges, I was taking it on good faith that they were righteous. And my fear was that we were not turning over the necessary exculpatory evidence and advising these defendants about these atypical practices, and it could come back to bite us at trial. And essentially, I would wind up sitting there in front of a defense attorney and having to answer, agent friend, this is your case. Did you do anything on it? And I would say no.
Yeah, it's an unusual position to find yourself in. But you know what I think people also want to know, Steve, is how does this all kind of work inside the Bureau? Is it coming from the top down? You know, what is the chain of command? Because honestly, it's terrible. Like, you're an FBI agent. There's been so much, in the press where people are upset and feel like it's so politicized. I am quite sure, because the existence of both of you, there are good people inside the FBI. How is this happening, this level of dysfunction and the politicization where it's just like these targeted, focused investigations for a political purpose?
I think it's a combination of two things. I think that there are the true believers, and they're bringing these cases because they indeed do view a lot of the right-wing Americans as the threat. But I think a larger component of that is the integrated program management protocols that the FBI has for itself, or think of it as a local police department has a quota for writing traffic tickets. So essentially, they set these metrics for themselves to achieve, and those are tied to funding for the FBI as a whole for each individual field office, and then ultimately for the senior executive service members who run each field office. Their compensation is tied to hitting these metrics. So it creates a perverse incentive to generate cases and certain statistical accomplishments and quantity over quality and integrity of those cases.